Well, every night it seems there are reports of scams and hacking. Nova Scotia Power is dealing with the case. A department store, Marks and Spencer's, has lost millions in the UK as it tries to recover from an incident that has put the brakes on business. Several other retailers in the UK as well. David Shipley is CEO of Fredericton-based Beauceron Security, but tonight we find him in Chicago. David, you were recently speaking at the largest cybersecurity conference in Silicon Valley. What are folks out there talking about in terms of cybersecurity, or are they?
Oh, well, I mean, this conference, and I was attending a lot of stuff this year and meeting with a lot of our customers now in the United States and partners. And there were about 45,000 people at this conference, and dominated by the use and abuse of artificial intelligence. Now, on the weekend, I was there for an industry-led conference called B-Side San Francisco, and the speakers there were phenomenal. And one of them demonstrated a pretty easy way and a path to take all these chatbots, these large language models, and actually turn them into an automated malware weapon that would actually cause potentially billions of dollars in damages. And that was a real eye-opener, as well as sessions on folks who were using 6-year-old hardware to show off how easy it is to do deepfakes now. And they were doing deepfake karaoke, which was both funny and terrifying as a concept. And, you know, that was really interesting to see. And lastly, there was a brilliant woman, her name's Erin West, and she's been looking into these scam compounds in Southeast Asia that are now responsible for billions of dollars in fraud losses through these so-called pig butchering or romance baiting scams. And they've gone from being multi-billion compounds to being 10-hectare site small cities making money. And in the US, 2 weeks ago, they had their most recent cybercrime numbers released, and it was $16.6 billion in reported losses to cybercrime, of which $13.5 billion was cyber-enabled fraud, with over $6 billion of that targeting people over 60. It is out of control. And what we're seeing is the use of artificial intelligence to enable criminals to do more crime at scale. We have not yet seen the Skynet of cybercrime, but we have seen it vastly increase the effectiveness, scale, and scope of criminal behavior online.
So I'm guessing you already answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Who has the upper hand now with AI in terms of cyber threats? Is it in cybersecurity? Is it police, or is it the offenders?
Well, right now, it's the criminals have the edge in the rapid adoption of technology and the ability to put it to work in very clear cases, whether it's writing better phishing emails, creating new malware, and more. And then on the private sector, all of the vendor-based cybersecurity AI tools come now at premium cost. And you know, we're already spending north of $200 billion a year globally on cybersecurity, but still losing hundreds of billions more. And so our ability to absorb these costs, particularly in this recessionary environment, is extremely constrained. And meanwhile, you have police who were being inundated by cybercrime before the massive proliferation of AI, and they have no hope of keeping up with any of this. And certainly in Canada, our RCMP, their budget for combating cyber-enabled fraud has been cut year after year. And while we continue to play security theater with Black Hawk helicopters, we are not investing in the crime that is robbing Canadian seniors of their entire life savings. This is a crisis, and hopefully Prime Minister Carney acts on it quickly.
David, let me ask you about something that's resonating around here. Nova Scotia Power, of course, dealing with an incident. It acknowledged that customer information may have been accessed. What is the risk there? I mean, the utility warned customers to watch out for unsolicited communication. So is this what they do with it?
Well, so the primary goal of a group trying to hit a Nova Scotia Power is to try and cripple its operations and demand a multi-million-dollar payday. Barring that, they try and steal data and say, listen, if you don't pay, we're going to leak it out. And if they can't get money that way, or even if sometimes they do get money that way, they will also then sell that information to other criminals. And we're seeing a significant ramp up in utility impersonation fraud. So criminals trying to defraud individuals pretending to look like Nova Scotia Power, and depending on what data we're talking about, they're going to have more legitimacy. They're going to know you're a Nova Scotia Power customer. They may know what your most recent bills look like. This will all make their scams more credible and going to make life much more difficult for many Nova Scotians.
Lastly, let me ask you about, and I mentioned it off the top, some of these retailers that are being hit largely in the UK, but we know this is a global issue. Some big names, Marks and Spencer, Harrods, the luxury department store, and Co-op, which is a very popular and widespread grocery chain there. They're all dealing with this. It has the potential to bring these companies to their knees.
It is, and the group behind it is a loosely affiliated group, typically of young males, pre-adult males, that have been self-taught cybercrime, that are using some of these leading-edge tools, as well as ransomware weapons provided by Russia, to then commit these crimes.
And they call themselves Scattered Spider, right? Is that the one?
Yes, yeah. Scattered Spider is one of the labels. Yeah, so they're doing this on the side, and these are on top of the well-financed, organized cybercrime Inc. that exists in many jurisdictions of the world, and their activities are swamping police. And also, as you know, these retailers don't have huge profits. They don't have massive security budgets. And why you're seeing these attacks happen in common is that they're all under the same constraints, and sometimes they'll use the same technology stack. It's a very easy rinse and repeat criminal business model. This is why it's so important that Canada gets its act together. Remember, before the election, we were supposed to pass laws to help protect energy utilities, telcos, banks, and more, and it failed because of a typo. I kid you not. I wished it sounded like a comedy, but it's how tragically inept we have been at getting legislation passed in this country that will require investment and require transparency. And again, hopefully with this new mandate, the Carney government picks the ball back up that was dropped and gets it done, because time's running out between these gangs that are now global in scale and AI. We're in a lot of trouble.
David Shipley, you give us lots to think about. We certainly appreciate you coming on here to, walk us through it. Thank you from Chicago tonight.
You're always welcome.
We will now take a look at our CTV poll tonight, which is, do you think your provincial government is spending enough on cybersecurity? David had something to say about that. Your options are yes or no. You can vote at the website. We'll be right back.